Joining us now, Chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, John Whitbeck. And John Whitbeck just had a convention in the JMU Convocation Center in 2016. That's in Harrisonburg. And even though I didn't like the outcome of the convention, as all conventions, the media got to go on the floor and they had plenty of space. And they had like 18,000, 16,000 people signed up for that. Now we have a convention in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Again, same place, same convention center. Everything is the same, except instead of 16,000 delegates, they have 4,000. And they have banned the media from the floor, which means I can't really do my show live and bring you all the action because they put us up in the third tier of the mezzanine in a press box. So you have no access to anybody, can't put in the speeches, and basically they don't want you there. And they're blaming it on the fact that they need room for handicapped people. What does that have to do with anything? John Whitbeck, well, he had handicapped people there. He didn't have a problem with it. I've been on the floor of every convention since I've been in the Commonwealth on both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. Never has the media been banned from the floor ever, except now with Scott Sayer in the 6th District, because my narrative, he's trying to rig this thing for Cynthia Dunbar, my narrative, not John's. Joining us now to help us understand why this cheating goes on is the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, John Whitbeck. John, thanks for being with us.
Good morning. How are you?
Why are they banning the media from the floor of the convention? Why doesn't the Dunbar people want us there broadcasting her speech, talking to her delegates? Why would you ban us to the third floor of the mezzanine?
Well, John, I think you described what their reasoning is, the handicap accommodations, which I just, this is silliness. I mean, we as a political party and with the candidates and everybody else participating in a nominating process, you want your message out there. You want these things to be public. You want these things to be transparent. And I strongly disagree with this decision. And I think the reasons given for it are flimsy. And I think it's time for them to reconsider this and let you on the floor. You talked about 2016 and the mess that was that convention. One of the things that was fair about it was the fact that you were on the floor doing your thing, yelling and screaming at me, I remember, in a good-natured way. But you were there and you were telling people, you were telling Trump supporters, hey, listen, we're on the floor right now, live. This is what's going on. Get here, have your voice heard. And it was a ruckus convention, but I'm glad that it was public and I'm glad that everybody's talking about it because it's led to a lot of changes that we've made in the way we do conventions at the state level.
Well, John, that's the other thing. And you had this convention at the James Madison University Convocation Center in the basketball arena, same place, same time. And how many registered delegates did you have signed up for that off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I think we ended up having around 4,000 or 5,000. I mean, when my opponent dropped out, it really was just there was one race that was contested technically, and that was the National Committee woman race. So you had about 4,000 or 5,000. I think somewhere around 2,000 showed up.
Okay, so
I don't remember exactly.
You had 5,000 showed up. You had the convention. You allowed the media on the floor. You had no problem. You could accommodate handicapped people. There was plenty of room there. They have the same number, and they're throwing us out. So this idea that it's because they want to do handicapped people is ridiculous. Look, the convention in 2013 at the Richmond Convention Center, which is not exactly the modern lap of luxury, they had, 20,000 people there or something. That was a huge number.
I don't think it was that much.
15,000,
but it was definitely
10,000,
closer to the 10,000 range. And
right.
Look, I mean, I deal with a lot of the disabled folks in my law practice and stuff, and I think it's kind of people who are disabled, they don't want to be treated like second-class citizens, obviously, and saying that they can't accommodate and get around in a place because you may have a booth set up and you may have your table set up. Or a reporter maybe walk around with a camera. I just don't think that's a credible reason.
Asinine.
And I think I would strongly urge them to change it. And Sayer, Chairman Sayer, he's in a tough spot because he's also a candidate, which makes it even more important for him to defer these decisions to a neutral person so he's not seen as trying to rig the process. And I think trying to close down this publicly from the media just puts out a perception that we don't want in our conventions.
Well, look, he's putting out a perception, but it's real, and he's banning us from the floor. I had to get 3 floor passes from one of the congressional candidates, Catherine Lewis, in order to even get down there. But I can't do a radio broadcast from the press box and the mezzanine 3 levels up. I mean, it's of no value to anybody. It's just me and 2 people talking. You have no access to anything. It defeats the whole purpose of it. And look, it's designed so that they can continue to manipulate the rules and scheme and cheat and rig, and there's nobody there holding them accountable in real time because you can't go downstairs. And they said to me, there's going to be security there. You can't get downstairs. So you can't be on the air live. This is unprecedented. You know, they have done so many things, John Whitbeck, in this convention that has been unprecedented. From changing it to plurality from majority, your state central committee had to weigh in on that, to not sending the delegate lists out to everybody else and just potentially sharing them with Dunbar. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Why doesn't Cynthia Dunbar step in and say, look, I want to win the right way? I thought she was the favorite going in. Why does she have to condone cheating and banning the media?
Well, the Commonwealth's attorney of Greene County is a guy by the name of Matt Harden, and he said something last year that I thought was extremely illustrative of what this is about. He says unity comes when people feel like they're treated fairly. And one of the things that can be very disunifying is when we have a party-run process, you have a series of things that make it look unfair or rigged. It happened at the national level in 2016. In 2017, we didn't have we had a primary. 2018, the only convention we have that's affiliated, at least in part, with the Republican Party of Virginia is the 6th District. And these series of bad optic occurrences, like the delegate list, like the plurality, and the flimsy reasons given for why they're doing it, just doesn't help the fact that we need to be unified going in. There's no question that there's a blue wave, right? And let's all be real. We saw it last year and it hasn't gone away. The question is, how do we respond to it? And the RNC and the White House are going to spend $250 million combating this blue wave. This 6th district is a strong Republican seat, and likely the winner of that seat is going to be whoever's nominated this convention. But we can't put this seat in play under any circumstances by making everybody decide to stay home in November because they weren't treated fairly during this convention process. And I think that we need to repair a lot of the damage that's been done as fast as we possibly can.
As the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, can the RPV leadership here step in and allow the media to go on the floor and take control of this process? Do you have that authority?
We don't have the authority to, quote, take control of the process. Our party plan vests the authority in the local congressional districts. However, we are almost on a daily basis involved in everything that's going on, and we're trying to push certain things. Like, for example, we strongly feel like this convention should be kicked off by a neutral person, not by the chairman, who happens to also be a candidate for reelection. I've been very vocal about that. The plurality, changing the plurality thing. They did something that was against our party plan. The convention could still vote for a plurality vote, but we have the power to overturn decisions. And one of the things that I'm really worried about is that if we continue down this road where there's one thing after another that hurts the process, is that it's going to get appealed and contested. And guess who gets to decide the contest? The Republican Party of Virginia. If you contest a convention and we find that there was misconduct or violation of the party plan or anything, we're the final arbiter, we can overturn the results. I think that would be a huge disaster if the Republican Party of Virginia has to step in. So we've been working like an almost daily basis with the 6th District Committee and others to make sure that all these little details are worked out, and therefore we have a more fair and balanced process going in.
I'm looking for Cynthia Dunbar, who I have her as the favorite in this nomination. I'm looking for Cynthia Dunbar to step up and show leadership and end this nonsense. Because if she doesn't, you can only draw one conclusion, and that is she doesn't think she can win without cheating and rigging going on in the system, whether it's banning the media from reporting on the floor or anything else they might do during their manipulation of the rules. I think it's sad, and I think it's detriment to the Dunbar campaign. I think it's going to backfire, and I think had she just gone forward and played by the rules, I think she would have won. Now I don't have any idea, because there's a lot of people upset by this. And the fact that they're throwing the media out from the floor is outrageous to me, John. I've never seen it. I mean, I've covered, 20 of these. I've always gone live, including the one in Roanoke, right? We were live right on the floor. We were having delegates for Shaq Hill and Ed come up and participate on our show in real time and tell us who they were voting for, people that had changed their mind. I mean, that you can't get more transparent than that. We potted all the speeches in. We did the same thing in the 2013 one with the lieutenant governors. And I've been to 3 Democratic conventions allowed right on the floor with Susan Swecker. This is outrageous. And this isn't about me. This is about all the media being able to gain access in real time, including the bloggers and everything else, so they can tell people what is going on. And it's just one more black mark. All right, I got to move on, John. Rudy Giuliani yesterday on George Stephanopoulos. I saw the interview. I didn't see it live. I saw it later in the day. I had to watch it a second time because I could not believe my eyes. What is the deal with this guy, and why is he going on TV? I thought that was a disaster.
Yeah, I listened to, when I was at the gym this morning, I was listening to your show, and I think you were replaying it, or at least the station was replaying it.
We were.
And it was better the second time. I mean, I watched it live on Sunday morning. I don't like to watch George Stephanopoulos. He drives me nuts. But I did watch this because it was Rudy. And I got to say, this president is under siege. This Mueller investigation has gone far afield. We all saw the comments from Judge Ellis in the overseeing the Manafort case about how this is a witch hunt. Those are my words, but he basically called it a witch hunt to get the president. It has nothing to do with Manafort, and it doesn't help when the president's chief lawyer goes on and sort of stumbles around. You have to be on your A game. And one of the things that was so effective about Bill Clinton during the 1990s, and I think Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton both deserve to have been indicted back then, but one of the things about Bill Clinton is he had defenders that were on their A game every time they went on. It used to drive me nuts how we got outflanked by them messaging-wise in the 90s during the whole impeachment debacle. And we cannot be outflanked by Adam Schiff and all the liberal pundits that are trashing the president. We have to be fighting back, and Giuliani's got to step up his game and do a better job. Spot
on. I mean, I really thought that was a horrific performance on Sunday, and I watched it twice, and then we replayed it on our show. And even listening it for the third time, I'm like, why did he do this? I mean, what is the purpose of this? I mean, if you're going to go on TV, have a mission. It's like he just went in on there. He had no plan and just, hey, look, I'm on TV or something. I mean, BuzzFeed. Like, why would he do an interview with BuzzFeed? I mean, for what purpose? You're the president's attorney. I mean, every time he goes on TV, we go backwards. And I just got to tell you, I'm not a fan because during the campaign, every time Giuliani had a hit on the Sunday shows, everybody held their breath because you never knew what the hell he was going to say. And so, look, you want to be that lawyer? Here's my thing. Go in your office, lock the door, turn off the TV cameras, and go defend the president and figure this out. Get the hell off the TV cameras because he's horrible, period. End of story. He's miserable. And, you want to get Jay Sekulow out there, fine. But Giuliani has been a complete, unmitigated disaster, John, since he took this thing over, going on TV. And I just think you need to stop.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I think we're facing too is this Stormy Daniels lawyer is the classic, lawyer that gives my profession a bad name. I mean, he goes on TV, he trashes the president of the United States using language that's just despicable. I mean, this president deserves the respect. The office deserves the respect. And Avenatti treats the president like he's some defendant in some back room, Los Angeles courtroom. And, and he goes on, he tweets out a picture of this disc and he won't reveal what it is. And this guy is beatable. This is not the best communicator the left has to offer. And we're letting him carry the day. He's on every show all the time, pounding away, calling the president a liar, calling the president a criminal, saying the president's going to resign and not finish his term. And we've got to fight back with effective communication and defenders of our president at every turn we can. Right now, that's not happening. And I don't think Rudy Giuliani's the answer. So, look, the other Trump surrogates have to step up, and there's got to be a plan for this. And, one of the issues with an issue like this is, you're not going to get any guidance from the White House because it's more of a personal issue. So those surrogates on TV for the president have to figure this out. But Rudy Giuliani is not the answer. He was awful yesterday. He was awful on Hannity. Wherever he's been awful. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We appreciate John Whitbeck coming on today, Republican Party of Virginia chairman. John, I appreciate your analysis of the Giuliani situation. Also, your refreshing forthrightness about the shenanigans going on in the 6th District. I hope you weigh in and can allow media to be on the floor so we can tell those that are interested exactly what's happening, John, in real time. Thank you.